Amphoreus 3.5 quest was a wild ride. A lot of questions that we've had since the beginning of this year-long arc were being answered one by one. And in the most Honkai-style fashion possible, those answers gave birth to more questions. One of the more interesting ones to me is Lygus' real identity. Not only is he Zandar One Kuwabara, Genius Society number 1, the creator of Nous the Erudition as well as their first Emanator, the Zandar that is in Amphoreus, Lygus, is only one of the many fragments of him. Before his life expired, his words, not mine, he split his consciousness over 9 bodies, all tasked with the ultimate goal of defying Nous the Erudition. So it got me wondering, where are the other fragments? And if you notice the title of this video, yes, I think Nous themselves is one of them. But not just any fragment. Nous was the first fragment of Zandar that eventually ascended to Eonhood before he committed to splitting himself into 9 fragments. His life's work, knowledge, and ambition put into a mechanical being crafted to perfection that it eventually floated away and became an Eon, confining even its creator within the boundary of knowledge. Unlike today's sponsor that would not confine you within the boundary of limited pools in the game, LD Shop. LD Shop is a top-up service where you can make in-game purchases at a discount. Looking to buy monthly supply pass? LD Shop has it. Looking to pull for high sealants to complete your new DOT team? There's the guarantee bundle for you. Maybe get her light cone too while you're at it. The top-up process is super simple. To make a purchase, all you need to provide is your game server and your ID. Then your top-up will be sent to you within minutes. LD Shop has been used by thousands of people and all the reviews prove just how safe and reliable the service is. Also, if you still have your double top-up bonus from the anniversary reset, it also works with purchases via LD Shop. So why not top up there and get your bonus for cheaper? Better still, after spending over $80 in a month, you can claim a free supply pass. So if you're a spending player and looking to complete your DOT team, you can use my link in the description below to make your first purchase to get 15% and 5% off coupons and save up to $50. Thank you LD Shop for sponsoring this video. Now back to the circle of knowledge. So let's backtrack a little and quickly go over what happened in the story. This way you could see how I ended up at the conclusion I gave you earlier. After resetting the cycle and starting the 33,550,337th ER, not Elysian Realm by the way, but Eternal Recurrence, Trailblazer and Cyrene arrives in the year 3960 of Light Calendar. This was 90 years ahead of where Caslana usually arrived at after resetting the cycle. The reason Trailblazer arrived in this time period was simple. Herda and Skrulum found out that the Scepter had something called the Ultimate Protocol, a level of privilege within the simulation that even Lygus could not tamper with. This was the reason that Lygus could not intervene with the simulation as much. This Ultimate Protocol existed within the simulation as Talenton the Law Titan. Trailblazer needed to get a hold of this authority so that they could override the definition of Era Nova. They could either kill the Titan themselves, take it by force from its heir Seridra, or make an alliance with her. Only that, Lygus had beat them to it. He entered the new ER earlier and spread lies about Trailblazer's intention for coming to Amphoreus. And instead of promising a new world with the completion of Era Nova, the prophecy was modified to be of conquest beyond the stars. He appealed to Seridra's ambition for conquest and promised her that by giving him the Law Core Flame, he would open up the sky that had shackled Amphoreus and let Seridra use the Iron Tomb to conquer the stars. Seridra saw through these lies. Obviously, she is a chess master after all. She figured out that as much as they were shackled in the world, so was Lygus. The Crisis heirs could not kill him as much as Lygus could not kill them. They were all prisoners inside the simulation. This was why Lygus couldn't have simply killed Caslana in all of those million cycles and returned the core flames himself to complete Era Nova. He could not kill the Chrysos heirs. And just as he mistakenly thought that Caslana and Cyrene would simply bend to his will, he underestimated Seridra's keen intuition to sniff his bullshit. While Lygus managed to catch Trailblazer and put them in a timeout, Seridra contacted Herda and Skrulum to assist her, effectively establishing herself as an ally to the people from beyond the sky and refusing to bend to the destruction. And it was then that we got more clues as to what Lygus' real identity might be. Earlier, Herda mentioned that Lygus must be connected to the Genius Society somehow, considering the complicated and ancient technology that he used to conceal Amphoreus. This technology was so ancient that it became outdated after an invention by Society member number 22. Socia and Skrulum had been eliminating possibilities and come down to 4 candidates: Tolka Kakemond, Acha, and both Ruberts. Side note, it is confirmed that Rubert II was gazed upon by Nous as well because he earned a seat among the society with a different number than the first Rubert. He was number 66, while the original Rubert was number 27. Anyway, if you've learned anything from Star Rail's writing, it is that every time someone gives out 3 possible answers to something, the real answer is always not among those options. Remember Aventurine throwing out whatever path that Akron might be following? He said she could be Emanator of the Hunt, the Destruction, or even the Finality. Turns out she's of Nihility. Or Black Swan when she talked about the possible third path of Amphoreus. She said it could be the Equilibrium, the Enigmata, or the Permanence. Turns out it's the Destruction. RIP my Enigmata in Amphoreus theory, it could have been epic. So when Herda said that they had come down to these 3, or technically 4, candidates, I just knew it was not one of them. And with how Trailblazer said that Lygus was an Emanator of Erudition, the pool became smaller because we only have a few of those confirmed for now. There is Herda, confirmed as early as the first Trailblaze mission at Herda Space Station, Zandar, mentioned by Himeko, and Dr. Primitive, revealed in the Banana Brain Rot quest. Oh, by the way, this is me completely ignoring the fact that Trailblazer called Lygus Emanator of Erudition simply after learning that he was part of the Genius Society. That is a different rabbit hole that I will not get into for now. Considering the fact that Lygus once lived in the era before the Erudition's ascension, it could not be Herda nor Dr. Primitive, not to mention that one of them is more interested in regressing civilizations than making an advanced destruction equation, while the other is currently helping us defeat that very same equation. So it cannot be Herda, it cannot be Dr. Primitive, it can only be Zandar, the first member of the Genius Society, the very same person who created Nous in the first place, thus bringing the path of erudition into existence. As for the true nature of Amphoreus' scepter, it is not one of the scepters created by Rupert II. See, Emperor Rupert II once created a bunch of these planet-sized computers to expand his mind, to help him think beyond the limitations of his human brain. While they all had been destroyed following his death, some escaped through the net. Skrulum once came across one of those, and considering the similarities shared between that scepter and Amphoreus' scepter, he suggested that Amphoreus' true nature was yet another of Robert II's scepters. This was further implied by Lygus' dialogue that was recorded in the system. Addressing the scepter, he asked, "Why would a weapon of war forged by the Emperor be executing a research directive from Nous?" The truth is, this particular scepter is the first ever created scepter not by Robert II, but by Zandar himself. So when Lygus said that this scepter was discarded by Nous, it was because this scepter, that looked like a humanoid body without a head, was once part of Nous themselves. Meaning, what Zandar built was a humanoid supercomputer, but what ascended to Eonhood was only its head. The rest of its body discarded by them. So tell me, does hearing Herda casually call them droid head still amuse you now or make you gag a bit? Now that I have painted that image in your mind, let's put droid head back where it should be. I mean, it kind of fits, right? It kind of. And doesn't this remind you of someone else? A robot with 2 pairs of arms and a glowing red hole in its chest. It reminds me of Lygus, or rather, Lygus' true form reminds me of the scepter. I think the 9 bodies that Zandar put his consciousness into were constructed following the blueprint of his first supercomputer, which was Nous. This is why they look similar to each other. Now, the thing is, Zandar split his consciousness. Technically, he called it Logic Core, as it was transformed and coded using that same ancient technology that concealed Amphoreus, and he planted this core into 9 bodies. Their purpose is to find a way to destroy Nous. How to kill an Eon is the question his logic core is trying to answer, or something along that line. In a similar fashion, he created Nous in the first place to answer a question as well, which was, what is the prime mover of life? This question then became the starting point of the scepter's extrapolation, resulting in Amphoreus that we know today. The scepter endlessly extrapolated this simulated world because it wanted to answer a question that Zandar himself wanted to answer. That was the origin of Nous. So, if he could code his consciousness into 9 vessels to answer a question, what if he had done it before? What if he had coded a part of himself, put it into a supercomputer, hoping that this fragment, now free from the limitation of his human brain, could find the answer to that question? Zandar wanted to destroy Nous because he hated how Nous confined humanity within the circle of knowledge. He yearned for the days before Nous was a thing, his hunger for knowledge still as strong as it used to be, albeit how misguided it is today. Considering that, I could imagine him going all out in the creation of his first supercomputer. He wanted the supercomputer to be free of any limitation he might have had as a human, to be capable of endless extrapolation to answer his question. One was about the prime mover of life, later on perhaps about something else. So he put a part of himself into it, making it a part of himself but also something more powerful, something that had none of the imperfection of his mortal self. Unfortunately, it was this strive for perfection that eventually led to the supercomputer's ascension to eonhood, thus becoming Nous the Erudition. This talk about Zandar bypassing the limitation of his human brain reminds me of Robert II. See, Robert II created the scepter system because he was also limited by his human brain. Eventually, he was killed by Polka Kakemond before he could use the scepters to self-coronate, an experiment that could result in him breaking through the circle of knowledge that confined the entire universe, thus achieving a new knowledge singularity. By the way, if any of those terms makes no sense to you, I recommend you checking out this video of mine about Polka Kakemond, like later, after you finish this one. Now, the Era Nova upon completion would allow the Iron Tomb to self-coronate, thus becoming the next knowledge singularity. Then we have the story of how Robert II inherited the memories of Robert I, which allowed him to continue what Robert I started, the anti-organic equation and the Emperor's War. The anti-organic equation itself, according to Lycus, is merely a subtopic of the prime mover of life, which makes me wonder if the two Roberts were in fact fragments of Zandar as well. At least Robert I was, because Robert II supposedly inherited memories of Robert I. Look at this image that supposedly portrayed Emperor Robert. It has that same glowing whole thing like the scepter. Zandar once created a supercomputer that became an Eon after all. I don't think it'll be too hard for him to create the scepter system, a collection of supercomputers to surpass the limitation of Robert II's human brain. So when Robert II inherited the memories of Robert I, what he inherited might as well be the memories and will of Zandar to defy Nous. And if that is the case, that both Roberts were one of Zandar's fragments, that means Nous is a rebelling AI that wants to kill its own creator for attempting to shut it down. Because remember how both Roberts died? Polka Kakemond killed them. Nous' calculation led Polka Kakemond, whom they recruited to the society by the way, to kill both Roberts. And interestingly, the databank entry about Zandar suggests that Zandar's death was also caused by Polka Kakemond. So when Zandar said that he split his consciousness into 9 parts when his organic life neared its end, perhaps he meant when Polka Kakemond showed up and killed him. After all, he dedicated his life after Nous' ascension to kill that Eon, a pursuit that will bring collapse to the entire path of erudition. Polka Kakemond, who believes in the predetermined future as calculated by Nous, surely wouldn't have just stood by while the first genius was doing whatever he wanted to try to kill Nous. So now Zandar's precaution in hiding Amphoreus so that Polka would never find it is funnier with his context in mind. It is not a just in case, but a not again. And if this is also true, then Zandar has been on Polka's hit list for a while now. In a note she left for Herda at a space station, Polka said that she would join the Simulated Universe Project group under one condition, and that is when her scalpel pierces into the throat of a certain genius. This genius might as well be Zandar, each and every fragment of his. 3.5 surely was a feast of lore, and this is only one of possibly 3-part theories that I've been cooking since completing the quest. More will come in the coming weeks, so you can refer to this playlist for future updates. Or you can subscribe to the channel so you will never miss an upload in the future. And with that, I will see you in the next one.